Gather round and welcome back to the Week 12 Predictor Show. That's right, folks. Here we go. We're going to predict the biggest games here for week number 12 against the spread and the over-under. And we're going to see how we're going to do here in week number 12. This is a big week. It could be a shake-up week. We got some big games coming at you. So let's get on to it here as we break down this week. We're going to look at 7 games, really 6 real big games. And we're going to throw the Buckeyes in there because I'm a Buckeye fan, so I want to talk about what I think we're going to see with that. Last week in the 9 games that we picked against the spread and the over-under, we ended up going 9-9 in those 18 picks. So 50%. I mean, it's tough when you're going against the spread and against the over-under on these same games, but 50% wasn't bad. We've been trying to get to 60. It's been a little tough the last few weeks. So let's break into this thing as we look at these biggest games of week number 12. All right, let's start at 3:30 on Saturday, and that's right, we've got Oklahoma rolling into Tuscaloosa to play the Alabama Crimson Tide. We got Alabama minus 6.5 here in this football game. We got an over-under at 46. I really think the last couple weeks, Alabama's offense has not looked particularly smooth. We'll call it smooth. I don't want to say it was terrible. They missed some wide open passes last week for Ty Simpson. The running game is just terrible, which has been all year. So no expectation that was going to be much better last week, and it definitely wasn't. Oklahoma's coming in off of a bye week. They had 2 weeks now to prepare for this. Brent Venables is absolutely a mastermind when he has time to really sit down and study an offense and figure out exactly how he's going to attack it defensively. I think, Alabama's not going to be able to run the ball in this football game. Oklahoma's a top 5 defense in the country against the run. And Alabama's not very good at the run. As we, mentioned last week, they had 55 yards in that game. So I really think this is going to boil down to how is Venables going to disguise his back end of the defense to force Ty Simpson to make some throws either late or just, errant throws over the heads of receivers. How is he going to get him kind of out of his realm of trying to throw the ball and be, consistent and accurate? I think that's going to be the key to this game for Oklahoma. And can they get a pass rush with just 3 or 4 guys? If they can get a pass rush and force Ty Simpson to throw the ball quickly, and they can cover with the back 8, 7 or 8 guys that they can cover with, I think it could be a long day for Alabama. The question is, can Oklahoma do that consistently? Well, after the first quarter against Tennessee, they really did shake it down, and I think Tennessee has a much better passing attack in terms of speed. And, Tennessee was moving the ball fast. They were trying to get up on the line of scrimmage. Alabama's not going to do that. I think Oklahoma has an advantage in that aspect of it. Then on the offensive side, how is John Mateer going to play? He played great in his last game, but he still didn't throw for 200 yards or right around there. He did run for 86 yards or so in that football game. I think this is, John Mateer's now had 2 weeks more to get healthy here with the bye week last week. So I really like Oklahoma in the 6.5 here, getting the points. I think at 46 on the over-under, 46.5 on the over-under. I like the over here. I think they're going to give up some points in this game. Both teams are going to score. I'm looking at this game to be somewhere in the 27-24 type of realm of game, whether that's Oklahoma winning or Alabama winning, 3 to 5 points. And so I'm going to take Oklahoma in the 6.5, and I'm going to go the over to 46.5 in the Oklahoma at Alabama 3:30 game on Saturday. All right, let's go out to USC. We have another 3:30 game on Saturday, and I'm having a hard time understanding how CBS picked up the Penn State and Michigan State game and somehow left the Iowa USC game to the Big Ten channel. Doesn't make any sense to me how that happened for CBS. It's got to be just absolutely devastating. No one's going to want to watch Penn State and Michigan State, I can promise you that. But Big Ten fans will definitely have their eyes on Iowa at USC. USC minus 6.5 at home here. We got an over-under at 49.5 on this spread on the over-under. So 6.5. Iowa's getting 6.5. 49 over-under. This is going to be a real interesting game here. Iowa coming off that loss against Oregon last week. Oregon's defense is better than USC's, but I think USC's offense is more explosive than Oregon's. So I don't think Iowa's going to hold USC to 18 points in this football game by any means. I think it's going to be more into the 20s for both teams if Iowa can get this offense going, but USC's defense is, they definitely can get going, especially in the running game. Remember, USC gave up 200 and some yards to Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame. Not that Iowa has a Jeremiah Love on their roster, but still, USC susceptible to the run. I like Iowa going into USC, getting the 6.5 points here. I don't think they can win the game, but I think they're going to keep this game into a 24-21 type of game. And we got an over-under at 49. I really like the under here. I like USC to win the game on the money line. I like the 6.5 in Iowa. And I like the under 49 here in the Iowa versus USC football game. Let's move over to North Carolina, and we've got a game between the Virginia Cavaliers going against the Duke Blue Devils. Both these teams suffering losses last week, which is really surprising for Duke since they went on the road and played Connecticut. We got Duke at -4.5 here in this football game, and we got an over-under of 58.5. Look, Virginia really needs to win this game, but so does Duke. This is really a battle for who could get to the ACC championship game, for sure. So Virginia, they've been playing close games all year. So is Duke, but I think Duke's a little bit more explosive offensively. I'm going to go ahead and take this as Duke on the money line here. I'm not going to give the 4.5. I'm just going to take the money line in Duke. And I'm going to do under 58.5 in this football game. I think this is going to be I think both teams are going to make mistakes, cost themselves chances for points. I think this thing is looking somewhere around 31-24, 30-23 type of game here. But I think Duke is going to end up winning it. So I'm going to take Duke in the money line and under the 58.5. Let's go from North Carolina down to Georgia, and we got the Texas Longhorns rolling into Athens to play the Georgia Bulldogs. We got Georgia at -6.5 in this game, and we got an over-under at 48.5, and this is going to be real interesting here. Look, Georgia played a lot better last week. It was a sandwich game. I thought they may struggle a little bit with Mississippi State, but they did not. And their defense looks to have improved, but again, it was against Mississippi State. But Mississippi State actually has some talented wide receivers and a quarterback who can get the ball out there. They just couldn't against this Georgia defense. Texas is rolling in off the bye week, much like Oklahoma going into Alabama. Both Oklahoma and Texas had bye weeks while Alabama and Georgia had to play last week. Is that going to come in, to play in these football games? I think it is in some ways. I think Texas has studied Georgia, really well. They're going to have some real interesting schemes to stop Gunnar Stockton, and most especially the running game last week that really blasted off for Georgia, over 300 yards rushing in that game for Georgia. And I think Georgia is going to still have problems with the running quarterback. Let's see how much Arch Manning actually runs, but I think that's going to be the X factor here in this football game, is how well Arch Manning can run the football here against the Georgia Bulldogs. So I'm looking at this as I'm going to go ahead and take Texas plus the points, the 6.5. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to go over 48.5. I think both of these offenses are going to be able to score. I think we're looking at a game somewhere in the 27-24, 30-27, somewhere in there, 31-24. I think we're going to be over the 48.5. And I think Texas is going to play inspired football on the road. They've lost their last two last year to Georgia. And both those games, they were in it and could have won them. So I really like Texas on the road here with the 6.5. And I like the over 48.5 in this football game. Let's move over to Louisville, Louisville, however you want to say it. The Cardinals are taking on the Clemson Tigers. This is a Friday night game, folks. And remember, funny things happen when Louisville plays on Friday night, and it's just a given. Something funny, something fishy, something crazy is going to happen when Louisville plays on Friday night. We've already seen it once this year. They beat Miami on that Friday night game. Clemson's rolling into town, not on a good season, but yet they need this win for them to get a chance to get bowl eligible here. So I really think Clemson's going to play inspired. We got over-under Louisville minus 3.5 in this game. We got 51 is the over-under in this football game. And I really think that Clemson's going to show up to play. The Cardinals are coming off of that loss last week, which, quite frankly, they had no business losing that game, and yet they did. They did not look good. I think Jeff Brom's going to have them ready to go, but I think Clemson's going to be ready to go too. It's national TV. They can make a statement, get back on, I don't want to say the winning track, but get somewhere, closer to bowl eligibility here and get a good win on the road. So I'm going to take Clemson plus the 3.5 here. Louisville very well could win this game, but I think it's going to be close. I'm going to go over to 51. I'm looking at this game as somewhere like 31-27, 27-24, right in that ballpark. Puts us just on the over here. So I like Clemson in the 3.5 in the over 51 and a half here in this football game. And the last big game that we have this week, we got Notre Dame traveling to Pitt. Pitt is getting 12.5 at home, which is really, the Pittsburgh Steelers home, not necessarily the Pitt Panthers home. But anyways, they need to get another on-campus stadium there at Pitt. I think it would improve their football program, which is doing really well since they put in the freshman quarterback here, right here from Oregon, Ohio. We got Notre Dame giving 12.5, and we got an over-under at 55.5 here. I think this is a game that Jeremiah Love's going to have a really big football game in. I think this is a Heisman Trophy potential candidate position for him. If he has another big game, 200-plus yards rushing in this game, he definitely will propel himself up the Heisman Trophy leaderboard here. So I like Notre Dame minus 12.5 here. I don't think Pitt is going to be able to hang in this game all the way through. Pitt's got two more really challenging games after this in Georgia Tech and Miami. So I know they want to win those games more than this one. They obviously want to win this game, but I still think Notre Dame's going to take care of business at minus 12.5. And I'm looking at an over 55.5 in this game. I think Notre Dame's going to put up in the 40, high 38s, low 40s. I think it's going to be somewhere in the 42 to 21 type of game. So I'm really thinking that this is going to go over the 55.5. And to round it out, we're going to talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes. That's right, my favorite team. And we got UCLA rolling in for a night game in the shoe, the third one of the year, which is absolutely amazing considering I don't think we could get one in the last few years, but we got another one coming up Saturday night. We got Nico and the boys traveling in. They had a couple, 3 weeks of success, but since then it's not been very good. And I don't expect it to get much better this week as they travel into the shoe. I think Ohio State will just have too much talent for them. We got minus 32.5 here for OSU going against UCLA. We got an over-under at 48.5. I think that UCLA is going to score less than 10 points in this football game. I think Ohio State is going to get into the 40s here. I think they're going to get around 42. So 48.5 is we're right on the bubble here, folks, of where this game could end up. It could be 42-6, miss it by half a point. Could be 42-7. I really think that I'm going to take the over just slightly in this game, just a little bit on the over, maybe to 49 or 50 points, but it could clearly come just under 2. But I think Ohio State is going to put up some points. They're playing at night. They're going to want to get some of their younger kids in late in the game and try to score the football. I wouldn't be surprised if they got to 42 or maybe even 45 in this game. And I still think UCLA is going to score under 10 points in this football game on the road to Shoe. So I'm going to take the over 48.5 in the Ohio State-UCLA game. All right, folks, well, there's our weekly predictor show for week number 12. We'll see how this shakes out. Going to be some great football games to watch, so you want to have your eyes open, your ears on, so you can see the sights and hear the sounds of everything that's going to come out of this college football weekend, and it definitely is going to give us a little bit more clarity on exactly what we're looking at going into the final 2 weeks of the season and then the championship games and how this is all going to shake out and break out and which teams are going to get in the college football playoffs. I would really like to see Oklahoma and Texas go on the road and win these 2 football games this weekend just to blow up a little bit more craziness in the SEC. I would really like to see Duke win this game just to give us more craziness potentially in the ACC. I don't think Indiana or Ohio State have anything to worry about this weekend. Indiana is playing Wisconsin, although they got a win last week. I am looking forward to seeing how USC end the season 10-2. They got to play Iowa. They got to play Oregon on the road, and then they got to play UCLA. So could they win all 3 of those football games and get a chance to be in the playoffs, which would be a big, big win for the Big Ten. So there we are. We'll see you on Sunday for the college football 5 thoughts on week number 12. It'll be exciting. We're going to have a lot to talk about with these games. So there it is. Remember, gather around in ALTT. We'll see you soon.